yeah, like I mean, it's a pretty like obvious point that like many in the United States like is just a is an axiom that we like the two parties aren't like too meaningfully different, and like they there's an illusion of choice, but like most of the things like between them are the same. Most of a lot of very important things they agree on, and there's simply no option to express or to propound these views politically.
They even do a kind of they even kind of do a little bit. They quote some conservative writer, like even the notorious conservative writer so and so says that there is no two-party system in America. There is a one-party system with like two wings. There's
Republican Party.
Republican Party.
That's like a very like I remember in the early days of Ron Paul, he would always be talking about the duopoly. And stuff like that, and like a lot
reminds me of Jesse Ventura's Demo Crips and Republicans. You would hear. I mean,
a lot of
you would hear the
candidates will talk about like the duopoly and like stuff like So yeah, I mean, it's a standard thing, but I guess maybe the idea was that like for people in the Soviet Union that wasn't necessarily like understood, because I think that a lot of this was, at least from the documentary, it seems as part of it is designed to kind of counter some of the propaganda like Voice of America or whatever that was circulating within Soviet countries.
Yes, they spent a whole segment going in on the Voice of America, and they play recordings from it that actually was a really great passage. And I remarked last night when I was watching it that it plays kind of these very kind of mild and not frothing U.S. propaganda segments from, hello there, listener. It's in Russian, but it's like, hello there, listeners. We have a new Bach concerto to play, and we're just going to blah, blah, blah. And like, very kind of calm and like NPR.
Bible verse or whatever.
Yeah, here's a Bible verse from like, Galatians 14:3. And kind of subtle, and they like stop it. And the sociologist is like, see what they're doing here? Like, they're basically, what they are doing is they aren't coming out in front with like their propaganda and their manipulation, but they're trying to build a sort of I forget the exact term he uses, but it sounded, what's that?
Intimacy.
A sense of intimacy, which sounded a lot like kind of building parasocial relationships, and reminded me actually a lot of like podcasting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing. It's radio. So, and I think that a lot of these podcasts like also have a similar function, which is why I think a lot of them are like somewhat sus. Because they're a very intimate medium. There's something that like it's always like in your home, in your car, like it's just you and the podcasters. Like you're being brought into like kind of this basically like a parasocial relationship. Where, and a lot of people like, I mean, if you can see like how some of the stands of certain podcasters behave, like they act like their friends are being attacked, or like their girlfriends are being attacked.
Like what would explain, I don't know, just the spitballing here, like the popularity of maybe something like a Cumtown to be as popular as it is, when it's just like
Cumtown is really like, that's a very sad situation, because no offense if you love the Cum Boys or whatever, but like I just feel like we all have, or like a lot of us American males have a certain nostalgia for like maybe college, or like those days of like hanging out with your homosocial friends and like making stupid jokes and that type of thing, and like it's just like this kind of, but like because like it's not that, and it's like so hopeless to kind of reclaim that, I feel like that is just like kind of depressing, like because like it's a sort of like mockery of like it's a sad kind of like pageant that's like trying to sort of replicate that, and it just like will never, it's like these old dudes like trying to like being like like trying to be shocking, or as to like we're the Cum Boys, like
it's like going into a musty basement where like the Something Awful forums still live on.
Exactly. Like it's kind exactly, it's like your friends who like for some people I think it's a way to try to hold on to the past, but like in practical terms, like doing that is kind of gross. Like you don't really want to at this point, like go into a disgusting basement, like to use a come-town term, like sit on a hot couch or whatever, and like
it smells like bong water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No
like,
offense, to any cum boys out there, but I am not. I think and
I think that in peripheral domains, one could see how an interested party like paying attention could see how that could be that same sort of dynamic, that same intimacy, that same power that the podcast form obviously has could be used like in a in a more politically productive, like, or subversive
destructive
fashion.
Subversive fashion.
Like it could be used if you kind of replicated the convoy dynamic, but sort of introduce like a political slant and use that to deliver political opinions. It could function in a very similar way, to
Interesting.
the intimacy of the Voice of America,
and then I
could
think
even use that to manage like suspicion about those types of techniques, like the psyops, things like that. You could even create a podcast that would be discussing these topics, that would be kind of like adjacent to the Cumboy verse, just in case anyone would be maybe catching on or getting curious in that direction. You could, create some kind of podcast that would sort of intercept that and sheepdog everyone back into the cum fold.
Exactly. You probably could. There could be, you could easily imagine a situation today where there are, 1,000 little Voice of Americas running around. All with their own micro audience, not just, broadcast widely to entire populations, but using tactical nostalgia.
And they even have the sophisticated technique of irony, which is like not really something that like in 1980s Voice of America would be using, but now like you have the very sophisticated, which, to be fair, we're kind of using right now, but like, and pretending that like, we're being hypothetical, but like, where you can kind of like pretend to be like, what if I were pro-Israel? Like, what if I were like CIA?
Or just, be like, I think the protests in Belarus are hot.
Yeah, exactly. Like Steve Bannon is daddy.
And just slide it right in there.
I don't know if that's ironic. Yeah, like
I don't know if that's ironic.
Always, when the big money is sleepless, because of the upcoming crisis, there is no time for democracy. But we should notice that violence cannot exist without cover-up. It cannot exist without professionals who create for cruelty such attractive images. We will tell you how, along with terror against its own and foreign nations, imperialism increases use of methods that, at first glance, are not connected with violence. Recall an interesting pattern. When the crisis is growing, suddenly hundreds of pop titles appear. Grandma shows. Chronicle of 60s recorded an explosion of youth riots, appearance of young leaders, whose guitars call you to the barricades. But remember, when the riots have grown too big, other people get into this business. They put other idols far away from the barricades. They were able to distract the youth and replace the real protest to such an illusion of protest. That was then, and so it is today. Any kind of revolution in sex, music, fashion. Any kind of revolution, except the social revolution. We shall tell you about the arsenal of techniques that in essence are a secret suppression of the individual. Suppression that sometimes forces millions to think and behave as needed to the people who enforce the social order. We are talking about disinformation and half-truths, from which the best kinds of lies are prepared. Exploitation of feelings and emotions, instincts and prejudices. To put it briefly, we are talking about manipulation of the mind and behavior of man. For access to the full-length episode, subscribe to the Hour of Frequency at patreon.com/subliminaljihad.